Welcome back into the Enrichment Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Stern AG, a rare breed of company founded all the way back in 1901. Stern AG remains one of the few privately owned brokerage firms in the country. They've survived waves of consolidation by faithfully serving their clients in ways that other firms can't or won't. Call Stern AG to discuss your financial future this week. Stern AG, we appreciate them for being a part of the Sports Source. We say the same about Jimmy, Bob, Mike, and Chuck. Whether I mean it or not, I say it. All right, guys, lightning round, and since it's kind of a bummer of a show with Tennessee losing, we may have a few sound effects we're going to try out today just to have fun. If I feel you're wrong, there may be a buzzer. All right, Chuck, I'm going to start with you. Has the SEC's decision to nuke division play in basketball been a good move or a bad move?
Oh, it's been a horrible move, and a lot for what Coach DeVoe said, to not play Kentucky and Knoxville, where you had a 30-point win against those guys last year, is one of the most stupid things I've ever seen. If you played every team in the East, home and home, 6 teams times 2, that's 12 games. Then if you play all 7 in the West, even that's a 19-game schedule. If it's too much, I don't have to play Mississippi State, or I don't have to play one of the others. I think you still can. You just don't have to play them home and away.
Or you can play that 19-game schedule and not play Tusculum. How about that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, I agree with Chuck. So you'll not get a sound effect. I agree with you. And it's not just, look, we do a Tennessee show in Knoxville, but there were a lot of rivalries that were lost in this decision. It was boneheaded. And we showed on MrSEC.com, you could have easily made this 2 permanent opponents and the rest rotate, 3 permanent opponents. You could have saved the oldest rivalries in the SEC, instead did not.
And the argument was to get more teams in the NCAA tournament, and that hasn't worked.
That has not worked either.
And thank you, Alabama.
All right. Thank you.
They were behind it.
Okay.
Lane Kiffin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mike Strange. All right, Mike Strange. It took about a minute 20 shy of 8 full years for somebody to finally uncrown the SEC. Next year, Auburn returns most of its team, including Nick Marshall. Bama will have to break in a new quarterback under Lane Kiffin. Which team is the most likely to start a new SEC national title streak next year? Alabama, Auburn, or a dark horse?
Lane Kiffin.
And
Lane
talk show.
Lane Kiffin in Alabama. Yeah, because, maybe I'm looking too much at the past instead of looking to the future here, but Auburn's track record has been win, and you don't know what they're going to do next year. Alabama's going to be there. They're going to be. They would have been there this year if not for that field goal return. So I got to go with Alabama, even breaking in a new quarterback or whatever.
Okay. Bob Hodge. Vanderbilt fans are outraged that James Franklin left them their rival site, which would be the Vanderbilt equivalent of VolQuest. Their equivalent of Brent Hubbs wrote a 3-page tiny, it is literally a scorned lover letter about James Franklin leaving, including, he wrote in this, those of us who worked around him know why he left. Franklin wanted to work where there was a built-in fan base with a vast stadium. He felt he was a big-time coach, and big-time coaches coach in big-time arenas. To each his own. What big-time coach would say, no, I kind of like coaching in the half-empty 40,000 seat stadium?
I really thought Bobby Petrino would stay at Western Kentucky.
Yeah. And then he said Franklin could have probably played for an SEC title very soon, and with a 4-school playoff, even a national title game wasn't out of the reach.
Yeah, it was.
So anyway, Franklin did a great job. Here's my question. Do Vanderbilt fans have reason to be this outraged?
Not this outraged. They ought to be disappointed. I understand that, and I understand a little bit of anger. Here's the difference between Franklin and Kiffin leaving Tennessee. Kiffin came when Tennessee's football program was a dumpster fire, and he threw gas on it.
Yes.
Franklin went to Vanderbilt. Their football program was a dumpster. He's leaving it in much better shape than it was.
Yeah.
Kiffin did not do that for Tennessee. He came in here and made a situation worse. So if I'm Vandy fans, I'm disappointed. I'm a little mad, but for Pete's sakes, he left you a program that is now a football program.
Hard to argue about leaving for Penn State too. That's
that's the no-brainer part of it.
Yeah.
An indication he did a good job was they're mad.
Yeah.
How many times were they mad when other coaches left?
That's
like
true.
DiNardo and Bobby Johnson.
True. This level of anger is different.
Yeah.
Part of it, though, if he starts, it's hurt the recruiting class. Lane Kiffin left here on a January 10th. He left there on January 11th. If he starts plucking Vanderbilt commitments, to go to Penn State, it's going to get really ugly. All right, Jimmy, I hope you're wrong because I really want to use the sound effect.
Okay, I'll go.
Will Vanderbilt continue to be average to good under its next head coach, or will it be back to the basement? Is this an improved program, or was it just Franklin?
Obviously, it depends on who they hire. That's part of it. David Williams makes me think that he might make a good hire because who was the other guy on his list last time?
Gus Malzahn.
Gus Malzahn. However, given the history of Vanderbilt, I'm going to say they're not going to stay at that level. They're going to go back down. Put the bank on. Put the buzzer on me.
Waited all day to use that. It's the small pleasures in life, really. I think that they're not going to stay 9-4 every year, but I do think they've shown now, and if the next guy comes in and follows the recruiting plan that Franklin laid out, you get a world-class education, you do it in a world-class city, and you play in the best league in college football. I think they can continue to have that Northwestern kind of success where you're up for a couple of years, drop down for a couple, but then back up. I think the program is better than. I don't think it's going to be 2-10 every year like it was for so much time. Yeah, well, still. When we come back, Peyton Manning, will he win today? And if not, what will everybody say? And we know the answer to that. Come on back, we'll discuss.